Welcome to episode 7 of Work Hard, Dream Big with your host, Shelby McGill. Today I've got a strong, determined female artist from Nashville, Tennessee. And let me tell you, she is bound and determined to make it big. And I believe she can. Please listen and support my friend, Melanie and Meriney. This is Light It Up.
Everybody's walking around like red carpet royalty, sparkling like stilettos and $100 cut-off jeans. They say dress for what you want. Everybody's working on putting on a strong game. They don't take just anyone. Go ahead, girl, make a name. Up in lights, it don't matter what you sacrifice.
Check out Melanie Mariney's EP. Make sure you let her know what you think. I hope you guys enjoy this. Thanks for listening.
Your name go up, up, up in
You're from Pittsburgh, correct?
Yes.
When did you move to Nashville?
I moved here in 2009. That's when I went to college. So I went to Belmont and then kind of just stuck around.
Why did you choose Nashville, of all places? I know it's Music City, but was there like something that just drug you to Nashville?
I mean, I always kind of had that in mind as because I wanted to pursue music. That was kind of the route that I wanted to take. And so when I was looking at colleges, I kind of just looked in the Nashville area. But Belmont had a really good songwriting program and music business. And so when I was looking at, what I could do major-wise and stuff like that, I kind of gravitated towards that just because of their programs.
What's your major now?
So I actually graduated with an English degree, but I double majored in songwriting just while I was there to take some of the classes. And I ended up getting my master's degree in education afterwards. So I've got a master's in education, and that's kind of my part-time gig right now is I teach high school.
How is that? How do you like that?
It's good. Kind of crazy sometimes. They're really nice about, working with my schedule. So I only teach Monday through Thursday, and I'm usually off at 1:30. So kind of schedule all my music stuff in the afternoon.
What do you teach, English?
Yes. Yeah, I teach high school English for 10th through 12th grade. I put out an EP in 2012 at the very beginning, and it was like my first recorded project ever. And I mean, it was good in some ways, but in other ways, it's like it sounds nothing like I want to sound now. So yeah, I mean, I feel like you almost need that life experience a little bit and just like season yourself to Nashville and to the rest of the industry before you're ready.
Yeah.
Per se. But
I mean, if you go back and like listen to Meriney Lambert when she first started and listen to her now, yes, she's grown with the culture and everything, but at the same time, it's like just her writing is just insanely mature compared to what it was when she first started. And I feel like that's with everyone. Garth, George Strait, I mean.
Definitely. And I mean, I feel like everyone's constantly adapting and changing, but you at least kind of know your general direction beforehand if you're a little, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what my current album's about. It's a little bit about like identity and stuff, and like what it took for me to get to a point where I feel like I know who I am and, I'm not as influenced by everything in the industry. Because I feel like it can be really easy, especially if you're like a young girl, to be influenced by, just how you're supposed to look, how you're supposed to act, what you're supposed to wear, and like, what sounds you're supposed to go for. So I don't know. I feel like it takes a little bit of, getting to know yourself before you're able to know that.
I agree. At what point did you realize that music is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life?
Well, I kind of got addicted to Shania Twain when I was like in 3rd grade. My mom got her album for me, and I basically just like listened to it all around the house. My mom was a big fan too, and so for her birthday, my dad got her tickets to go see her when she came to Pittsburgh. And I kind of like overheard them when they were making these plans, and I like begged them to take me with them. And so they agreed, and I pretty much just after that concert, I just like saw her on stage, and I saw like, those how the lyrics affected everyone in the crowd, and just like what a cool job she had. And I was like, I want to do that so bad.
So up and went to Nashville.
Pretty much, yeah. I went home as a third grader, and I asked my parents to sign me up for voice lessons, and so I started doing that. I learned guitar in seventh grade. Yeah, pretty much. That was always the end game.
How did you meet Jesse and when?
Yeah, I met Jesse on a pontoon in Nashville.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's such a funny story. Well, we have mutual friends, and so I remember I was, we both got invited out to our friends' pontoon. It was like Labor Day weekend or something. I can't remember. But she had like rented this pontoon on Percy Priest, and so we were like, yeah, that'd be fun. And so she was like, okay, well, like, do you mind picking up my friend Jessie on the way? Because she and her friend need a ride. And so we were like, yeah, sure. And so that's kind of how I met Jessie. And I just stayed in touch with her. Like, she's one of those girls, especially here. Like, I gravitate towards people who just seem very real and down to earth. And like, Jessie's just like a very real person. She's very, like, no. You know how sometimes girls will be two-faced or double-sided. Like,
can't stand it.
Just, yeah, and she's very much just like who she is, who you see is what you get kind of thing. And I just like I love that about her. So we were talking, and I mean, supported each other with like music stuff, and then I was looking at getting a house because I was just sick of paying ridiculous amounts on rent every month, and was hoping to kind of do like a rent out the rooms, and so we actually went on a house together, and so we own a house together, and we have 2 rooms we rent out to people. But yeah, so we're at least tied to being friends for the next 5 or so years.
That's not so bad. She's pretty awesome. I reached out to her when I very first started doing this, and
yeah,
I just went out on a limb. I was a little desperate, but I had to gain. That's the thing with starting anything like this is you have to gain trust with people, and you have to be real, and you have to let them know, hey, I'm doing this because I love hearing your story, and I want to support you as much as possible.
I think that's awesome. And I mean, it's like one of those things where the people that care when you're at the beginning of your career, like, are the people who are going to be around at the end of it,
Yeah, they're not there because you hit millions. They're there because
exactly
they're your friend, and they're true. So, yeah, when I reached out to her, she got back with me, and she was like, absolutely, like, I'd love to. And I got talking to her, and I actually went down to Durant and watched her and Gretchen Wilson. And, oh, my God, talk
fun.
about, some people to me, they can just not, they get out there and they sing, but it's just not the same as what it sounds like on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
And she sounded so much better than even on the radio. And I was like, she did a song, Tom Petty song, and I was like, you need to record this song because I will buy it. Absolutely.
Was it Free Fallin'?
Yes.
Yes. She does such a good job at that.
Yeah. I was like, if you
That's
ever record this song, I'll be your first buyer. I promise.
Well, I look up to her so much with even just like stage presence and like
she's
the
so
way
confident.
that she carries herself. Oh yeah, definitely. And so it's nice having that as like, and I guess she was like a vocal voice major, I think, in college. So it's kind of nice having that in the house and, picking her brain for certain things like how would you approach this note or, no.
That's cool that you guys lean on each other like that.
Oh yeah, no, she's awesome, and it's just nice to be in a climate of supportiveness. Like I feel like all my friends are like that. You want to see them do well. It's less competition and more, how can we raise our entire group up?
That's how I feel this next question. With your career so far, what's some of the things it takes to be not just a musician, but a female musician in the industry that you're in?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I know right now, I mean, for the past 5, 10 years, it's been very much a male-dominated climate. And so to be a female artist, I mean, I had the head of a major label tell me, you're not going to make it because you're a female, like to my face.
Why is
And
that?
it's one of the, I don't know, and it's one of those things that, when something's working, you get it gets replicated a bunch of times. And so that's why you hear one song about trucks and suddenly they're all about trucks.
Yeah.
Because something hits number one and now everybody's going to try and jump on that thing. And so I almost feel like that's the way it's been for the past decade. We have these huge male artists like Jason Aldean and Luke Bryan and, people who are very, they cater to the women in the crowd. They cater to that sort of idea of, like male sex appeal. And, they have the idea that radio listeners are pretty exclusively female in a country market. And so when they're thinking about, how we're going to shop to radio, they're thinking, okay, well, female artists don't want to listen to females sing. They want to listen to guys sing, which I think is not true, but that's their opinion. For me growing up, I know like I almost like exclusively listen to female artists, and it's because I feel like I related to them more so just because their stories are coming from a female perspective. I listen to their lyrics and I'm like, oh, like I can totally connect with, Leon Rimes or Shania or any of these, Miranda, and I think it'll swing back that way. It's just sort of engaging that female audience again and finding creative ways to do it. And so hopefully, the industry follows what the fans want. And I do feel like the fans want that variety on radio.
To me, it's like when I listen to a female artist, Carrie Underwood is like my girl. She's
Oh yeah,
huge Carrie Underwood fan. Just from her winning American Idol to now, I'm like, you never hear anything bad about her. You never hear her going and doing crazy stuff. She seems, I've never met her, would love to, but she seems like a true, strong female artist who has stuck to her roots since day one.
And I think she's awesome she's almost that exception as like if there's anybody who's been on any female on country radio who's in the top 40, it's, her and Miranda are those people over the past 10 years really who have like been there and stayed there because they're they're undeniably attractive to women listeners just because of the experiences that they share and, their stellar vocals. And I think there's room for more of that. And
oh yeah,
hopefully, hopefully the industry kind of catches on to that sooner rather than later.
To me, though, it's like listening to a female artist. It's listening to a true story. Men, yes, like you said, trucks, women, drinking, it's all the same. I mean, you can only have so many girl problems, and you can only have so many trucks, and you can only do so many stupid things. But
and I think, no, I totally agree with you. It's like a variety thing. I mean, I love those songs as much as the next person when I feel like dancing. But as far as I need some more depth to my country, I guess. So like when I feel sad, like, I want to listen to Taylor Swift, like tell me teardrops on my guitar and like things like that. And it's like one of those things where there's a time and a place for every song. I just wish that listeners had more of a selection in the current climate than they currently do.
I agree. The words just behind, if you, like I was listening to your song Lifeboat earlier.
Oh, nice.
And the meaning behind that song is kind of twisted, but at the same time, if you really listen to it, it shows how vulnerable men are and can be.
Yeah.
And how strong the woman has to be sometimes, to say, no, this isn't healthy for me. So
I feel like, and there's two sides to every story, even if a guy told us the same story from his perspective, it would come off a completely different way. And so I think it's important to have that duality.
I agree 100%. Bobby Bones right now. I'm a big Bobby Bones listener.
Well,
And
he just launched a syndicate, right?
Yes.
For female artists.
For female artists. And I think that is huge.
Oh, yeah.
For women right now. Now, needless to say,
that's phenomenal.
He's only doing like top 20 or 15 artists, but they're all women. I would definitely like to see that grow to be top 30, you know. But,
oh, yeah, for sure.
And have younger upcoming artists because, yes, Miranda and Carrie, they're still young, but eventually
they're proven.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have all these unproven artists who, I mean, even just going to shows around Nashville, I mean, we get the unique opportunity because it's such a artist-heavy town of just seeing like phenomenal music and songs that you never hear on radio. So like I'd love to, you know, hear half of those artists just get exposure and be brought to listeners because I feel like people would catch on if that was there for them.
I think radio shows or stations like The Highway, Prime Country, Sirius XM, all those who are kind of reaching out to the younger artists and bringing them in to kind of help them is huge too. Like that's definitely what our female industry needs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so I do listen to The Highway quite a bit, trying to support everyone I can.
Yeah, that's kind of my next sort of goal is to approach that market. Everything that SiriusXM has been doing, just as far as promotion, and I mean it is kind of an industry marker or like an indicator, I think, as far as what's going to start trending because radio labels, they all look at The Highway and things like that to find their, you know, focus and where they're going to put their money behind.
Yeah. Are you signed to a record label right now?
I'm not. I'm independent right now. Yeah, trying to, I mean, I'm speaking with some labels, but I'm kind of lining up my ducks right now and getting everything, you know, in a row. I'm trying to get all my numbers where they're supposed to be. So that when I go into a label for a deal, I have more power as far as, you know, choice, what I want to do, how I want, you know, to creatively have the deal go.
Well, that's good. If you're going to do it, you want to do it right.
Yeah, exactly. I just hear so many horror stories about people who are looped into these contracts and then, you know, the label doesn't release anything and they're not allowed to release anything for X amount of years. And I mean, if you're at a pivotal point in your career, that can really kill an artist.
Yeah, I can see how that would definitely happen. Do you write all your songs on your last EP? Did you write all those?
Yes, I wrote all of them, and then 2 of them I co-wrote with a friend of mine, Michael Funk.
Where did the inspiration come from on that album?
Yeah,
EP,
well, we kind of built it around the song Up in Lights. I wanted the album to sort of be my experience in Nashville and sort of how far I've come since my first EP. And so when I was trying to come up with a collection of songs for that, I guess the general theme became identity. You know, how do I perceive myself? How do I want to present myself? What pressures are sort of there? So, I mean, if you look through the track list, like Drugstore Makeup is very much about me growing up in Pittsburgh and my experience about how, you know, I know who I am in the context of my hometown. And then once you come to a bigger city, you sort of get caught up in, it's easy to forget who that person is. So I did that. Drama is kind of about, it's kind of a fun one, but it's sort of about finding yourself in the context of a crazy relationship, sort of where that goes, how much of yourself you want to invest in that. You know, Lipstick on a Microphone, I guess that one has some rock influence to it. My dad had me listen to a lot of 80s rock growing up, so I listened to
I can definitely hear the rock even in your voice a little bit come out.
So I wanted to pull that in just because I feel like that is me, you know, that's part of my identity, that's part of my influences growing up. he'd have me listen to Van Halen and Def Leppard and all those bands. And I just wanted something very anthemy, very rock out in the chorus. But yeah, I mean, Lifeboat's very much about identity too. Like you were saying before, it's kind of like finding yourself, deciding, what your values are, what you expect out of yourself, what you expect out of the people who love you. So yeah, I mean, I think it was sort of a combination of a bunch of things, and I spent about a year writing for it. I wrote a lot of it while I was writing for Dunegrass Music. I was with their publisher for 2 years, just kind of getting songs that I was pitching and then also songs for myself as an artist.
In Light It Up, when did you actually release that song?
So I released the album actually all at the same time. I released that in May 2017, so last year, and we put out Lifeboat first as the lead single on that. So did that pretty much. Lifeboat music video got placed on GAC, got a lot of exposure there. I still get texts from my friends downtown who see it playing at the bar, which is kind of funny.
That's cool.
But yeah, and then Up in Lights, as far as that went, we filmed the video in March, and I knew that that song was one that I really wanted to represent just because it was important to me as kind of a part of my journey, showing what the industry looks like. I still have a lot of pressure as far as, you have to look a certain way, you have to act a certain way, you have to put on a smile even if maybe you're not feeling on today. It sort of just portrays that, and I think Dalton Sneddon, who worked on the video, did an awesome job of kind of bringing that to life. And we released that as sort of an incentive prize for my fans and subscribers. We reached 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which was kind of the goal. My fan base really pulled together and got the numbers up, and I wanted to release that kind of as a thank you to them.
Yeah. We kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but your growth and maturity level since Light It Up in 2012, when you released the first one, what do you see the difference in yourself as a writer and even your voice? I mean, what's some key things that you're like, all right, I'm proud of myself for that?
Yeah. I mean, I think as an artist, you're always changing, and like we were saying, you last year is so different than you this year, just in terms of where you're at with your music. I've heard songwriters say that, their last song is always like their favorite one. It's because they feel like they've built upon their writing. And so I guess for me, my first album, the point was kind of just to put out music and to have some sort of recorded product, sort of a baseline to start at. And I really didn't have a ton of practice with co-writing. I didn't have a ton of practice with just writing in general, and even life experience too. At that point, I was still very green. I hadn't gone through a lot, and I think when Up in Lights came out, it was almost like a transition from that person to the person that I have become in this kind of 5-6 year interim between. I got to open for a bunch of people. I got to sign a publishing deal. I've been kind of hustling in the music scene down here for a while, and I think it kind of reflected that, just as far as me building off my abilities as a writer and as a vocalist, sort of finding my own sound.
Do you play every Friday night down there in Nashville?
It kind of bounces around. I usually play about 2 places a week, usually writers' rounds, although I throw in some larger full band shows and some out of town shows. So like I've got 2 shows next week. One of them's acoustic, and then one of them is full band show on Wednesday. So I kind of post everything on my website just as they come up, and my socials. Yeah, I try and keep a lot in practice just as far as that goes. Keep as on it as I can.
I am dying to go to Nashville. I keep bothering my boyfriend about it, and I'm like, we gotta go. But we're kind of, I'm still in school, he's still in school. I'm getting ready to start a new job. Everything with this, I've got a really big event that I'm planning, and so we're gonna have to push it off a little bit.
It needs to time out. it's like one of those things where when you're here, you want to spend at least like a week here
Yeah.
to like do everything.
That's what I want to do. I want to go for a solid week and stay. Hit
That
all
would
the
be so much
bars, go
fun.
bar hopping on
Yeah,
Fridays
because
and Saturdays.
you gotta do all the touristy stuff and like
See the Grand
go
Ole
line
Opry.
dancing and do the Grand Ole Opry and everything, and then you'll also have to do some of the local stuff, And I feel like a week is it's a good little snapshot of what we have here. Yeah, but I love Nashville.
I drove through Nashville, but I wasn't in a time to stop and explore. We were trying to meet a baby in North Carolina, so
Oh, fun.
we couldn't stop, but I'll go back sometime.
Yeah, you definitely need to. Well, let me know if you're in town ever.
Yeah, I definitely will.
You, me, and
let you know
Jesse
about.
will go.
Yeah,
grab coffee or something.
I'd definitely need a guide. Let me know what everything I need to do before I leave. You guys would know.
Oh, definitely.
What are some near goals that you have your eye on?
So I want to release some new music. I mean, Up in Lights is about a year and a half old now. And what I want to do is kind of roll out a single. And I'm kind of thinking about November as being the release date for that. We already shot a video for it. So I'm kind of excited to put that out. And then hopefully have a couple more tracks follow in the new year.
So we got a month. Wait.
Uh-huh.
What a tease.
I know. It'll be fun, and it's something that I'm really excited about the song, and I've got a few songs too where people who have been following along probably know some of the ones that I'm gonna record. So that'll be fun to sort of see their reaction as far as is it what they expected it to be in the studio, and I'm excited.
I would be. That sounds really interesting. Growing up, we're going to kind of go deep here. Is there ever things you look back on, times were tough, that let you know you're going to get through it? You'll be fine. You ever have days where you're like, not really going my way? Do I keep going? Do I pursue something else?
Oh, yeah, I still have those days. That's like every week. No, I mean, it's one of those careers, and my family is very supportive, but they're all very much a traditional route as far as, they're all into the science and medical fields. You go to school, you get a degree, you find a job in that field, and music is so funny because it's so arbitrary, and nobody's path is the same. So it definitely, you get doubts all the time. Some days you feel like on top of the world, like you're, everything's going great, like you're making so much progress, and then like later that day, you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't done anything.
I've got nowhere.
I know, exactly. So it's like
laundry.
It's a constant. Yeah, right. Jeez, I need to do that. But I mean, it's one of those things where Nashville either intimidates you or inspires you, and I mean, definitely a little bit of both, but hopefully it inspires more than intimidates. And I think part of that is having a good, solid support system around you.
That's
friends
important.
who help you out, who want to see you do well, who aren't afraid to, share advice with you and share pitfalls with you. And, I mean, I try and do the same thing with things that I know. And I don't know everything either, but if I'm like, oh, okay, well, I tried that before and it didn't work, so here's what I would stay away from. And I think just taking it one step at a time, one day at a time. I mean, I'm a total list person, so I just make lists for myself all the time.
Checking them out.
And yeah, exactly. And so it's one of those things like, okay, like what, like 3 things do I need to do today to progress my career forward? And I feel like if you just keep, you keep having those tiny goals to meet, eventually you start making some bigger goals. So
I try so hard to do that. Make like even just a small day, like my days off, I'm like, all right, I need to do laundry, I need to do this, and I need to do this. And it's like 5 o'clock in the evening, and none of those are done. But I'm like, well, I guess I'll try again tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, there's so many movement of items. Like I constantly am like putting something, okay, well, that'll happen tomorrow then.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad. I'm in a process right now of planning this really big event, and I'm terrible at planning. Like not planning, but planning things and then forgetting. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need to write that down. I'll remember it. And then 20 minutes later, and I'm like, what was that I needed to write down?
Oh my
So
gosh,
bad.
that's totally me. I did that today we've got a plumber coming, and I knew that he was going to call Monday, and like I had some unknown number call, and I'm like, I know I'm expecting this call, but I have no idea what it's.
You answer it, and you're like, oh, yeah, okay, that's what it was.
Exactly.
Well, I don't want to keep you too long, but is there anything else that you'd like to share with your fans?
Yeah, I mean, I guess right now it's just awesome to have people supporting me, and I'm trying to, get the views up on my YouTube videos and my spins on Spotify. So anything that you can do to, help me out with that.
Yeah.
I get a bunch of, advice from certain people in the industry, and just it's very much a numbers game, which is unfortunate that it has to be that way. But it's one of those things where immediately they look at you and they're like, well, here's your statistics and here's where you fall short. Yeah,
I feel really bad now.
Like,
thanks.
so what about this art I just created?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they're very bottom line. But I mean, people have been so great so far, and I'm so appreciative to everybody who, spins it during their lunch break or shares it with their friends on Facebook, and just little things like that make a whole world of difference for people who are independent like us, just trying to get our foot in the door.
Yeah, this will launch as soon as I get done editing a little bit of it, and then I'll launch it and hopefully help you out as much as I can.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Small town
This means
Oklahoma
a
girl
lot.
just doing what I can.
It really does make such a difference, and just having that like support and knowing that people, want to see you do well and wave your flag, and hopefully I help your podcast as well, and try and get people going there and hitting up the traffic and everything. So
yeah, that's my goal. That's the only reason I like traffic, is to
yeah,
let
right.
people listen a little bit longer.
Good kind of traffic.
Yeah. So real quick, what's the wisest advice you've gotten from someone?
Whew. It'd have to be Mom.
Aw.
And it's not her, it's not her branded advice or whatever, but just she always says everything happens for a reason. You're where you're supposed to be right now at this moment, because this is what everything in your life has led you to right now. And so sometimes when things are tough and I'm like, I don't know if it's going well, I don't know, if anything I'm doing is working, she just reminds me of that, maybe this time that I'm going through, or maybe this hurdle that I'm facing is something that's going to make a difference to me in the long run, and either connect me with different people than I would if I was having a great time, or, put me in a place in my life where I can write a really good song about it. Yeah, she just reminds me of that. And I just think that's really good advice to live by. I think our challenges are purposeful, and hopefully we make the most out of them.
God always has a plan, and moms are definitely
usually
us.
Always right.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're there for us for sure. So I'll let you get off here so you can go do laundry or whatever you have to do for the rest of the day. And I really appreciate you getting back with me and talking with me, and I enjoyed the laughs. So tell Jesse I said hi, and I
definitely will.
I hope you guys hit your breaking point and make it big. I'm rooting for the both of you.
Well, thank you. And thank you so much for doing this. It means a lot.
Yeah, I love it. This concludes episode 7 of Work Hard, Dream Big with your host, Shelby McGill. Thanks for listening.